Hi, this is Magda from Wnętrza ze Wnętrza. This time I'm taking you to a 58 square meter apartment in a tenement house from 1936. The apartment was renovated in 2018 and the owner chose sentimental keepsakes, items with history and natural materials.
Hi, my name is Patrick. Together with Magda, I invite you to my apartment, which is in the Oliwa district of Gdańsk. The building was built in 1936. I am the second owner of the apartment because the previous owner lived here practically her whole life. In my apartment, there are many keepsakes, family mementos, and a lot of furniture that has been restored. And I would like to show you how old furniture can fit into modern interiors and can also bring a sense of home and good energy. And they don't have to be found in big commercial stores. They can be a cool addition to the interior and help maintain that homey atmosphere that every house should have.
We start, as usual, at the entrance, and right here we have a place to hang our jackets. There aren't any ordinary hooks here, but instead a very decorative hanger with leaves, which has been placed on the floor. These are the boards that were laid in the living room and bedroom, and what was left over was used here. Thanks to this, jackets won't dirty the wall, and if needed, the boards are much easier to wipe clean, and interestingly, no baseboard was installed. We can see a cross-section of the floor. And as you can see, all the layers are wooden, and it's simply a wooden floor that, thanks to this kind of construction, is more durable and resistant to warping. The top layer, if the floor has been glued down, can be sanded, which is a great option to extend the life of this floor. However, this layer is relatively thin, so you can probably sand it only twice. 3 times, no more, which is a bit worse than with solid parquet, but it's definitely better to have this option 2 or 3 times than not at all. On the opposite side from the entrance, there is a rosewood dresser with rounded edges, and various souvenirs are placed on it. I want to draw your attention to this vase. Look. If we turn it around, it has a more traditional vase shape, so when you turn it around, it takes on a more traditional vase shape, which makes it very pleasing.
During the renovation of my apartment, quite by accident, I found this table in the basement assigned to the apartment. It turned out that this table belonged to the previous owner, Mrs. Stanislawa, so I decided to renovate it. It ended up serving a very ordinary purpose, as a plant stand in the hallway, but it nicely reflects the atmosphere of this apartment. But above all, it is a tribute to Mrs. Stanislawa, the first owner, whom unfortunately I never had the chance to meet.
Here in the frame is the bag in which Patrick received his first toy from his dad. As you can see, it's not a painting or a poster, nothing so obvious, but who said you can only frame obvious things? Before the renovation, the kitchen was closed off, there was a wall here, so much less light came into the hallway than it does now. With the wall taken down, it was also possible to make a bigger countertop. And here a place to sit. The seat, which is apparently loved by guests, and I'm not surprised at all, because it's very comfortable to be able to maintain eye contact with the host during a conversation, even when they're busy preparing a meal or a drink. And here above the stove we have a recirculating range hood that isn't connected to a chimney, there's no pipe, just cords and a cable, so it looks a bit like a lamp. And in fact, it also successfully serves as a lamp. And when we turn it on, it starts absorbing odors, so it also serves as a range hood. So as you can see, connecting it to a chimney isn't really necessary. The kitchen cabinetry isn't very large. There are 4 drawers here, 1 under the oven and 3 on this side. Above the fridge, there's an extra cabinet for things you use less often, and above the countertop, there are 3 cabinets for dishes and food items. And in this one, there's a dish rack on the 2 lower shelves. However, as you can see, it's not used very often. These are dishwasher pods, and we managed to fit the dishwasher in here.
We are in my kitchen, the Gdańsk kitchen. And also, to emphasize the character of this apartment and its location, I put up photos on the walls by the famous Gdańsk photojournalist, Mr. Zbigniew Kosiczars. But I also hung up old maps of Gdańsk, maps from the 1980s printed in the Gdynia printing house, which show Gdańsk in a different form than it is today. Many of the streets no longer exist. It's a really nice touch that shows where we are and where I live.
Unfortunately, the original floors couldn't be preserved, but the doors were cleaned and painted, and the handles were also polished and painted black. Patrick wanted to bring natural materials into the apartment, so the rug is made of jute, the curtains are linen, and the windowsill is wooden. This part of the living room is dedicated to the music collection. There are both CDs and vinyl records here. Patrick once received this fossilized shell as a gift from his dad, who found it in France in a vineyard.
Here is my grandfather's armchair, my grandfather Tadeusz's armchair, where he probably spent many hours by the fireplace. Odrestaurowany. Whenever I sit in it, it brings up good feelings in me and the house feels pleasant. Emocje. Także I recommend it to all of you. It's really nice. And it's really nice. Have things that mean a lot to you. That mean a lot and that will bring good energy, good memories, and most importantly, a smile to your face in your home. Whenever I sit down, I always smile. And my grandfather, who is no longer with us, is still somewhere in my memories and right there in that piece of furniture.
Finding the right coffee table is a huge challenge. It has to be pretty, practical, proportional to the sofa, and match the whole room. Patrick was looking for it for 3 years, but I have to admit, he managed to find a really beautiful model. This old pot, which now serves as a flower pot cover, was fished out of Lake Hansha by Patrick's grandfather. There are numbers here. It looks a bit like 1803, maybe 1603, maybe it's a date. It's hard to say, let me know. I'm extremely curious about its history. This display case used to stand in a clinic in Gdynia. I managed to snag it online when the clinic was being renovated and getting rid of its old equipment. And while we're at the window, take a look at the pleated blinds, which are special because you can cover any part of the window, which is especially useful on the ground floor. You can cover the bottom part so that people passing by can't look into your apartment, while leaving the top open to let more sunlight in. On this beautiful bookshelf, there are lots of family souvenirs and travel mementos, like this charming Matryoshka doll brought from Chernobyl. But here by the table, the chairs themselves are a keepsake. They're shell chairs that used to belong to my grandparents. In the bathroom, the towel hooks are actually old radiator valves from this apartment. They were cleaned by sandblasting and now they look really beautiful. Here we have a mirror in a copper frame. Copper develops a patina over time and changes color. Here is a shelving unit made especially for this spot, but it's freestanding, so in the future you can take it from here and move it somewhere else. Next, there's a washing machine built in on both sides, which makes it look much nicer, and you can stably place a basket for things on top. At the end of the bathroom, there's a shower that spans the entire width of the room, and there's a linear drain here. However, even if the drain gets a little clogged, the water won't flow out into the bathroom because there's a threshold strip at the bottom for the sliding door that prevents excess water from spilling out so easily. The bedrooms are dominated by wooden furniture, and the character of the interior is strongly influenced by the forest-themed photo wallpaper. On this side, there's an old wardrobe and an armchair from Patrick's grandparents, and although Patrick loves these pieces of furniture, he's considering having a custom wardrobe made here, which would simply allow for better use of the space and provide more storage. Because you've probably noticed, there aren't actually that many storage furniture in this apartment, and that's partly because there's a basement under this room with the same surface area, so you can simply store a lot of things down there. But that doesn't mean a bigger wardrobe wouldn't be useful, so we'll see what the future brings. On the window as decoration, there's a menorah bought at St. Dominic's Fair, and a tree stump that has a more personal story. The clinic where Patrick worked was being expanded, and because of that they were cutting down trees. Patrick asked them to cut a cross-section for him.
Besides the fact that I've lived in Gdańsk for many years, and it's where my life, home and work are, I also wanted to highlight where I come from, the Suwałki region and Suwałki. That's why there are these two posters, Wigry and Czarna Hańcza. I have a lot of great memories with Czarna Hańcza because even before moving to Gdańsk, I used to dive in that lake. So the fact that these two posters are here is about my origins, but also my life before I moved to Gdańsk, and it's a nice element showing where I come from.
It wasn't easy to find a nightstand that would match the bed, and what's more, Patrick wanted its shape to resemble the radio he inherited from his grandfather, which is now in the living room. As you can see, we finally managed to do it, and from the same store we also bought the cabinet for the hallway and the one under the TV. I'll leave the details for you in the video description. For more inspiration, I invite you to check out our album Polskie Wnętrza, which you can buy today. See you in the next episodes. Also, you'll find many more interior design videos on our channel, so please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up and leave comments. I hope to see you again soon. Bye. It's my birthday this week, and to celebrate, the ebook Profession YouTuber about the behind the scenes of creating interiors is 50% off. And what's more, the code Polskie Wnętrza 2023 is still active, which can be combined with the promotion on the album. You can get it even cheaper.